Hi there, my name's Vince from mymatevince.com, and in this video today it's a trying to fix video, and we're going to be trying to fix up this little Secura watch on the left hand side here. I bought both of these spares or repair on eBay on the one listing for £150. I'm not sure if that price was good or bad. This watch here will be in a future video. This should be very interesting actually. So as far as I know, it's a battery operated watch, but it's a tuning fork watch. So very, very, very unusual. So not a quartz. So we'll do that in a later episode. At this moment in time, let's concentrate on this little beauty here. So this is from the 1970s, I believe, and it's the Secura brand. I think was a kind of affordable brand back in the day. They did quite well. They followed trends. So if people wanted big divers watches, that's what they would make. People wanted jump watches, for example, then they would make jump watches. They then went on to buy out Breitling when Breitling was struggling, and then later on Secura became Breitling, probably because the brand is more prestigious than Secura. So now these have gone up in value purely because people are calling them Secura Breitling, but they're not. When this was made here in the 70s, as far as I know, they had nothing to do with Breitling. I don't believe the inside of these watches are particularly good quality, but forget about all that. I really like the look of the outside of that watch, and I would wear that watch all day long. With this one, they were both sold as spares or repair. Nothing was really written on it. When I pull this out here, I can see that the dial's moving all over the place when I'm turning that, but it does seem to be turning freely enough. Date turns there, but yeah, I haven't got a section in the middle to change the date. It's just like one click. As well as that, there doesn't seem to be any quick date function. So if I was to go back to here, you can see it's just going back. So now, if you had to advance this to like 31, you're going to be here for quite a long time. Yeah. So it's a watch you'd really have to wear every single day if you cared about the dates. Right, let's just get something out of the way at the very beginning of this video. I am not a watch repair guy whatsoever. I've worked on a handful of watches and I have had very, very limited success. I've had much more failures than successes. That's what makes the successes all the more fun. So if you want to see a professional at work, don't be watching me. This will be similar to maybe you giving it a go yourself. Or maybe I've got a little bit more experience because I have done a few watches. But if you've watched a few watch repair videos, then you would probably have as much experience as me. So there we go. That is out of the way. But saying that, I will do my very, very, very best to fix it. I would love to see this on my wrist at the very end of the video. Even if it just ticks, even if it's bad timekeeping, even if it's like within 10 minutes a day, I would be over the moon if we can get this ticking. I have got a little timer graph, so we can put it on at the very end if we can get it ticking to see what it does. Now, when I first of all seen this watch, something didn't quite sit right with me because it says submarine here and there's a picture of a scuba diver here and it's like vacuum tested. And I thought to myself, well, that's weird because look, there's no lume anywhere. So how are you going to be able to tell? And there's no, on the bezel here, there's no markings to say how long you've been underwater. This is like a world timer to tell you time in different countries. What I think it is, I've looked on Google. I thought it might be like a Franken watch where it was made up of different ones, so the inside movement was different in the case. But I have seen numerous other ones that look like this on Google. I think they must be just showing off the fact that they managed to do water-resistant watches by calling it submarine, and this is like a world timer. So this was never meant to be a diver's watch, but the case itself must be just a case that allows it to go, for example, however much 200 vacuum tested means. I'm sure that's not going to be 200 meters, but it says 400 at the front. You see, there's a lot of things that just don't marry up whatsoever. Maybe it is a Franken watch, not too sure. But either way, let's take it apart and let's see if we can fix it, find out what's wrong with it. Now, the problem with this one is it's fully wound, but yet it's not ticking. So look, I can turn it that way, but when I go to turn this way, it's fully turned, and yet, even if I shake it, that second hand is not moving round whatsoever. Now, annoyingly, the back of this has a kind of weird, I don't know what tool you would need to remove the back of this, but it's not this one here. I'm just going to see if I've got anything that might work. Annoyingly, I don't think I've got anything suitable at all. So I'm just going to see. I don't even think these will go wide enough. No. Well, the next size up are absolutely huge. Oh, that's annoying. I would have thought that this would have been able to undo it. Let me try to put them really close together. Let's try that. I'm going to put pressure down on the mat. The back's all scratched up already anyway, so I don't care if it scratches more. Yes! Yes, it did it. Brilliant. Come on, keep going. Maybe this is pretty waterproof because it's definitely not easy getting this back off. Not sure if I'll be able to put it back on with that though. Maybe I can look into what proper tool you need. Ta-da! Right, it is filthy. Let's get some gloves on and let's zoom right in. Right, so what does it say here? Swiss 23 joules. Looks like a bit of water damage, does it? A bit of green here, possibly. What's this bit here? Is that a little spacer? Yes, it's filthy. Look at that. Very, very dirty. Now, is this moving the balance? Let's just do it gently. Oh, no. I mean, it's moving, but it doesn't seem to be springing back or anything, does it? Oh, here we go. Oh, it's broken. Oh, there we go. It's broken. It's ticking though. I've done my objective. Oh, it sounds quite nice. Right, why? No, it's gone again, hasn't it? 1 second now. Where's all the play coming from? It's all over the place. Is that the bottom or the top? Can't actually tell. Should we try to undo it? The problem I've got is this is where I always fail, is on the balance, because that spring is so delicate. To be fair, the spring looks okay. I wonder, is it even in that timing bit there? Yes, it is, isn't it? But the very fact it's wobbly, does it? I mean, if the pin was broken on it, wouldn't it? It wouldn't work at all, would it? But I mean, it's just all over the place with the wobble. There you go. Stop now. You see. Right, let's try to undo this, and then it might become clear. I wonder, can you buy balance ones for this one here? This is how you regulate it. You see this one here. So if you make the, if you put this one towards here, it's going to make it run slower because the spring is longer. So this is going to move round slower. And if this moves slower, the second hand moves slower. If you were to move this further away this way, which looks to be pretty much at its max now, then it will go quicker because the balance spring is shorter. So basically this oscillates back and forth quicker. Is it going to come off or not? Probably have to take it off and pivot it up from this bottom bit here. Actually, if I do that No, it should be okay. I was going to say it will go crazy, won't it? But it won't because of the pallet fork underneath this. There we go. Okay. Now, so this is a little pallet fork. Yeah, and this is the thing that actually shoves around the balance. So it oscillates that way, then on the way back it taps it, and this gives it an extra little push. Boom, around here. Back this way. Boom, and it whacks it this way. Boom. Like a kid on a swing. Yeah, and this is the parent pushing the kid. Yeah, that's how it works. Little symbol down there. Right, let's zoom into that bottom jewel and see if the jewel looks okay. Then we can have a look at the actual balance itself. Well, just zoomed in with the camera, not the microscope. It looks kind of looks okay. Let's have a look at the balance wheel. Okay, so that's the little jewel there. You see that hits the pallet fork down here. That little jewel just there. Right, I'm going to have to use my eye loop and get right in there. You can see all the dirt coming out of the watch, all these black bits. Well, as far as I can see, it's definitely still a point down here. So let's see if it's up the top that it's gone wrong. Do you know what? I can't really see with my eye, even with the eye loop. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get my microscope. I'll just do this off camera. I just want to see if I can work out where it's worn. Right, I'm super zoomed in now, and I've been looking through the microscope, and 100%, there's no doubt in my mind that this is the balance here. I've taken the spring off it so I can fully see it. The top pivot is broken, not the bottom one, not the one that goes into this part here. That's okay. As you can see, we've got a nice little point on that one. Look here, like a little needle sticking out here. But look at the top one. That should also have a little needle sticking out, and it hasn't. So what's happening is, when it's in the bottom one and the watch is perfectly still, it will work because this can oscillate back and forth nicely. Back, forth, back, forth. But as soon as you wobble your wrist, the top just flops, and then the spring can't shove it around anymore because obviously there's friction and stuff where the balance wheel is hitting something else. So that top pivot is not being held in place. Now that's really interesting for me because in the past I have looked at other watches that are higher quality than this, even though I end up breaking most of them. And the other watches I look at normally have, they're shockproof. So where they go into the jewels, they're held in with little springs, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. And basically, I never really thought about it before, but if you think about this watch here, if you were to wear this when you were whacking, if you went golfing or something, and if you were to repeatedly whack the ball with the club, then the shock's going to be going through your arm. Or let's say if you drop this, think about it, this is oscillating back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. If you drop this, what's going to be the main part that's going to break? It's going to be the pivots here, because that's where the shock's going all the way to, and these are tiny little needles. So on a watch like this with no shock proofing, it's going to be very likely that these break. And funny enough, since then I've looked at a few of these on eBay, and sure enough, a lot of them are saying, not a lot, there's not many on there, but the ones that are on there, a lot of them are saying that the balance is broken, because you see the same thing is going to happen to loads of these worldwide. So I'm going to show you what an actual shock one looks like compared to this one here, and then it will make more sense what I'm talking about. There you go. I just wanted to show you about this shock thing so it's easier to see rather than just trying to explain it. So if you have a look, this is from an Omega watch, which I believe predates this one by a good 5 or 6 years or so. Now, this one here, can you see the jewel is just part of this metal? It's not moving anywhere, the jewel's there. But look at this one here, the jewel itself is in a spring. See this little spring here? Yeah, this funny movement thing here. That allows a little bit of give on that jewel. So if I was to, I'm not going to because it's tiny, but if I was to take that spring out, this whole jewel would just fall out and it kind of just wobbles in there. So that's what gives it, it's quite a clever design really. So just by doing that, obviously if this still got a massive whack, it would snap straight off. But just from general knocks and stuff, that stops it from breaking. And they have it, I'm thinking, yeah, they have it on the other side as well, don't they? So they have it on both sides. So I wonder when they first of all did that, whether the timekeeping was slightly worse because of extra vibration and stuff through here. I mean, it's an amazing piece of design, because I never put any thought into what that is there for, and now I fully know, which is just great, and the reason why. I really like that. This movement here is one of these movements. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. Let's zoom out a little bit. One of these. They're a very common movement. They're a very cheap movement. Yeah. So that's it there. And this is the model number EB8021N. And have a look at the little logo for this company here. I wonder, is that French? I wonder, it's a Swiss-made watch. I just want to see where that company's from. Yeah, they were Swiss, and they made low-end movements and went bust when the Quartz came along and just took over everything the end of the 1970s, early 80s. So, yeah, but anyway, look at that little emblem there. And if we zoom right in, you can see, well, you could even see it from here. I don't need to zoom in. You can see there that it says 8021N. So, initially, I thought I might be able to just replace this middle section here that goes all the way through. And you can buy them on eBay for £10. That's not a lot of money. But upon further looking into it, I've watched a video on the Watch Repair channel. Mark's really very good at this stuff, so for him it's easy. But for you need specialist tools, you need to basically stake them in, and then I think the metal flattens out and stuff like that. So it's not something I'm going to be able to do. But yeah, you can buy that bit that goes from there all the way through to there, and that's independent of this wheel here, and also is independent of this little thing that holds the jewel as well. But I'm not going to be able to do that, so I need to get myself one of these movements from somewhere. Now, I can't buy the movement, but this movement is a common movement in other watches as well. So if I look to buy another Secura, it's going to be too expensive, because what I've bought here is probably one of the cheapest Securas there is. But if I can find one from another brand that people don't really know, because let's face it, Secura is no better than any of these other brands. It's just people are associating them with Breitling, so they think it's a better watch, but it's not. I don't want to pay £200 to get it fixed, but if I can spend maybe up to £100 by getting another watch, then I would, personally, I would do that. So that's what I need to do. Right, so time has passed, boom boom, and I managed to get hold of this one. It had to come all the way from Serbia. So when I started to look into it more to get a working one, they're not actually that common at all. It cost me, it was in dollars, I think it was 90 something dollars. It equates to roughly about 70 UK pounds, but it is working. I don't know how well it's working, but you can see there it is definitely ticking. Now, the problem is this one is shock protected. So remember I was talking about the jewels in on the balance wheel? This one would have it in a spring. So I don't think it's going to be just a direct replacement. Otherwise, what would happen is the top jewel would be sprung and the bottom one wouldn't, and maybe there's going to be differences in their height or something like that. I'll tell you what I am tempted to do though, because it has got the same movement inside, but I think this is a more updated one. I'm tempted to swap the whole movement out and put it in here, because I suppose if it's shock protected, it's going to be a better movement. Otherwise, this could break again. If I can get this balance in here, the bottom one could break. You know, the one against the pallet fork thing. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's just that I know for the videos, people would like to see just the one item swapped over and the thing working again. But I would actually like to use this watch, and I think it would be better to just swap out the whole inside. So this back now you can remove nice and easy. See, I've seen all this black stuff here originally, because this is supposed to be waterproof as well, so it says on the back here. Definitely says water. What does it say? Water protected. Oh, okay, so maybe it's not the same as this. I was wondering, initially I thought this might be like that. Remember that stuff you used to put on cars years ago, the underseal stuff? It was like the black gunky stuff that you used to put on and it used to set, but it still remained slightly rubbery. I thought they might have used that to waterproof it, but you know what? because it's all got here as well, and this is a complete mess, I'm thinking it was just a rubber gasket, and the rubber gasket has just gone hard and perished and turned to dust and dirt and oil. Well, maybe just for the novelty side of it, I might try to undo this and put it in the faulty Secura just to see if it does start ticking. Let me put some gloves on. Yeah, so you can see that that one's different at the bottom, isn't it? So that's shock protected on that side as well. I think it's different heights. Just going to use my eye loop and look real close. Well, I think it's gone down into position. And it's not stopping. You know what? I'm going to just pop that screw back in. Well, I pop the original screw back in. And I just want to see, I'm going to pop it on the timer graph thing. And let's just see if it's keeping any sort of time at all. I thought it was a different size, but I'm not so sure now. Okay, so I've got my little watch timer set up here, and I've got a good watch on here which has been serviced. But then again, this watch would have been a lot more expensive than the Secura when it was new. But this has been serviced by a professional, and as you can see, if you have a look at the figures here, it is running actually 22 seconds fast a day. Maybe that's just in this particular position. But have a look at the beat error. That's the difference between the tick and the tock. So for example, when the balance pin goes one way and then the other way, can you see it's only 0.2 milliseconds? This one is beating at 18,000. So that works out at, let me get my calculator. If it's 5 per second, so that'd be 5 times 60 for a minute times 60 for an hour. Yeah, so it's 5 ticks a second, basically 5 little. So it's not a sweeping second hand. You think it's sweeping and it looks like it's sweeping, but it's actually going round 5 ticks per second. But anyway, that's what like a good watch would look like. Now look at this one here. So let's stop that, take that one off, put the Secura on and start. Right, so have a look at the beat error there, 9.6 milliseconds, which is huge. It's losing 500 seconds a day, which is huge. You know, we're talking, what's that, 9 minutes? But the it's still 5 beats per second. Amplitude's not as bad as I thought it might be, 265 degrees. So I suppose the stronger the mainspring that pushes the power through, that would be higher. But I think that's okay. You know, it's an old watch. I think I might try to run with the balance as it is now. Let's just see if we can mess around with it, get the beat error down, and also the let's see if we can get it running a little bit better than that. Remember, on my one, this was all the way over there. So if this balance is from a different movement, it's believable that it's been regulated to that movement, isn't it? And you wouldn't think it's going to be regulated to this one. Now, I could move this up to here, and that is going to increase the speed of the watch. But the thing is, the beat error is still out massively, like really, really massive. So I believe to do the beat error, I need to adjust this one here. So I'm only going to do this like once or twice on camera, and then I'm just going to be doing it off camera because it's going to take me ages to do. Now, I know normally, if you have a watch done properly, you only ever move this one here, never this one, because this mucks up the beat error off the watch completely. It's just that the beat error is so out at the moment anyway, it's like 9 milliseconds. So I am going to move this one up to see if we can see how that adjusts it. And now I'm going to make it run a little bit quicker as well. Might be my mind, but already it looks like it's moving quicker. So now let's bring it back over and see what it's doing. Well, already the lines are much closer together. And look at the beat error now, 4.7, it's halved. Excellent, and we're down now to 2 minutes slow a day. So you've seen what I did just then. I'm going to do that again now, and again, and again, and again, and I might have to do it 20 or 30 times. But let's see if we can get it running better. Right, so I've been messing around with it, and I think this is probably about the best I'm going to get it. You can see there, I mean, that's in this particular position. But beat error of 0.4 milliseconds, amplitude 200, and at this moment in time, it's minus 1 second a day. But I don't even know if the lift angle is correct on this one here. So I'm going to mess around with it in different positions for a bit, but I don't think I'm going to beat that. And then I just need to get a strap for it. And also I want to show you the other watch as well, which is actually working perfectly. Which is unfortunate because the tuning fork watch, I really wanted to have a look on the inside of that and kind of get stuck in. But yeah, I changed the battery out and it's working perfectly. Right, bad news. No matter what I did on this one here, whenever I changed positions, it just really went all over the place. So I'm not wasting any more time with it. I'm putting the balance back into the movement that I got, the replacement movement that I got from eBay, and I'm going to fit this movement into it. The only real difference is the fact that on the Secura one, it does say SIG or something, 47, while this one says WST, because this one is a WS Superstar. So I think I was always going to be fighting a losing battle on the Secura one here. So I'm going to pop this in, put the dial back on, put the hands back on, put it in the case, try to get it running nicely, and then I can finish up this video because it's going on a bit. Oh, look at this. I've only got the hour hand on, but that is a joy. That feels amazing. Ready? Perfect. Right, getting there now. So happy I've swapped this over. Just hope I can get the balance back in okay. It's balance time. Brilliant. Okay, well, it didn't start on its own accord, but I don't know how much I wound this one anyway. Right, let's get the screw back in. Hopefully this one might run better. So at long last we're starting to make a little bit of progress now, and we're going on to the fun bits of putting it back together and cleaning the crystal. So this is a plastic crystal, it's acrylic crystal, so it means that you can actually buff it quite easily using some Polywatch, and this should get rid of some of the light scratches. It's obviously not going to get rid of any of the cracks or the deep scratches, but it will certainly make it look nicer. So apologies, because there's been quite a lot of stuff in this video that's been cut from it. I have got hours upon hours of footage, because when I was trying to get that other one working with the balance in the wrong movement, it was just, you know, every time I put it to a different position, it would just be all over the place, and I started to strip it down a little bit, try to clean a few bits, but I wasn't really getting anywhere. And obviously you haven't seen the fact that I've taken the dial off and the hands off and stuff like that, but it's all kind of standard stuff. You just leave it the hands off and the dial on this one comes off. There's two little screws, and then when you undo the two screws, it has little dial feet, and then you can just pop out the dial. There's nothing particularly fancy about this watch. The overall look of the watch is nice, but it's certainly not a highly engineered piece. So yeah, while we're cleaning up this little dial here, let's give a shout out to the My Mate Vince Massive, because I've been a little bit behind, haven't I? This month the Massive consists of kitdigital.com, Kip Hakes, Max Rokotansky, Having Fun Repairs, Ellensburg Amplifier Repair and Service, Will Michaelis, Chris Seal, Felipe at MrKeebs.com, King Kurd from Lowbook Auto Sales, DJVG, and Tobias Hennig. Probably got that surname completely wrong. Apologies, Tobias. But yeah, if I get corrected on it, I might get it better next time. So yeah, there we have it. Massive thanks to all you guys and everybody that supports these videos in any way, shape or form. Let's get on with the polishing and putting back together of this little beauty. Right, I've got the watch here. At the moment it is dial side up, and yeah, I mean, I can get it good in one position. As soon as I turn it to in another position, it just falls off a cliff or just goes vertically up. It's really bad. But saying that, it doesn't mean that it's not going to tell the time okay throughout the whole day, because for example, it can lose time when your hands down, it can gain time when your hands up, and you know, when you're on the desk and stuff, it might actually average out okay. So if you have a look here now, you can see the beat error is 0.6 milliseconds. Rate is 18 seconds, well, minus 7 seconds a day now. Amplitude's quite weak at 154. Remember, this is the other movement, so maybe it needs to be serviced. Okay, don't worry about that. I haven't got the back screwed on properly yet. Now, if I was to do here, let me just reset it again, and this will be dial facing down now. See there, the amplitude's much stronger than the beat error's better. So I'm going to leave it at that now. I'm going to put the strap on it and I'm going to see how it performs over the next few days. So there we have it, sparkling clean. It looks amazing. I mean, it looked good when I first of all got it, but I really like the look of that, and I've gone for like a grey, comfy suede strap, and I think that sets it off quite nicely. We'll do a wrist shot in a little while, but I've given it a good little clean. I use a little bit of Brasso here, not much, because you can see it's all wearing away anyway, but just to give it a little bit of a polish up, and I use quite a bit of Polywatch on the glass. There's still cracks or bad scratches here and in the middle. But it's an old watch, 1972, so we're looking at something which is 49 years old. I love it. Right, okay, well, we have to see if it keeps good time. I like the looks, but I'm not happy with the performance of it. Now, let me just show you the inside of this watch here, and then I'll show you this one. The inside of this is something to behold. So the only thing wrong with this was the battery was faulty. So I don't know why this was sold. This has been working now for, I think, 3 or 4 days and keeping amazing time. Well, actually, I say amazing time. Basically, I put in just a tiny battery in it to begin with, and that kept amazing time. When I put in the proper Varta battery, then I think it loses a few seconds a day now, but I think these watches need to be regulated. I think it's possible to regulate these, but I don't know how to do it. But look at the tune. So this is a tuning fork, and what's amazing here is it's a battery operated watch, but look, sweeping second hand. And you're never going to get an automatic with a sweeping hand as good as that, because, as in like a, like a manual wind or an automatic watch, a mechanical watch, because this is beating not just 5 times a second like this one does, not 8 times a second like, for example, an Omega or a Rolex would do. This is, I don't know how many times it's beating in a second. It's loads of times a second it's beating. It's lovely, isn't it? Really is something. I don't like the watch. I'm not a lover of the watch, if I'm honest with you, the look of it, but the movement on this, it looks amazing. So you can't see anything moving, but actually these things here are vibrating. So I don't want to break them, but if I was just to tap that, there, did you hear that? There. So they're like vibrating so many times a second. Let's zoom right in. So you can actually see some movement. It's lovely, isn't it? So it's a shame it's working, but I'll keep my eye out. I've got a feeling it would be super complicated, but I will keep my eye out. I might get another 41 in the future, and at least then if I get the same movement as this, I can have this as a kind of reference to see what's going on. Right, so let's finish up the video and do a wrist shot on both of them. But by far this looks nicer. But you can see how jerky that second hand looks now compared to that, once you get used to that one. I think this one's gold plated as well. Or the bezel is gold plated. So here we have it, and it's looking really, really nice. And just for the video, I've got this one on the other side here. I've decided to put this on a kind of red coloured strap. Maybe a black or brown would go better. I need to have a little play around with it. But this is the one that I like the most, even though I do love the movement of that one there. But there we have it. So for both of them, I paid, I think it was £150, roughly £70 for the spare watch for this one, and about £3 or £4 for the battery here. So I suppose I'm looking at about £225 all in for both of them. I think, well, that actually doesn't include the straps. I already had them. So I suppose including the straps, maybe $240, something like that, all in. I think that is probably still an okay price for these two watches here. For me anyway, it's definitely worth it because I really like my watches. I love the fact that I now have a tuning fork watch, this one here, and I will be wearing this one most definitely, as long as the time is keeping okay. And so far, within the last hour anyway, it definitely appears to be doing okay time-wise. So the idea is you put whatever country you're in to the hour hand. So I live in the UK near London, so I'm going to put that there. And now, for example, you can see here it will say Paris, Rome. I think there used to be a loom spot here. That looks like a perfect circle, so I reckon that is probably due to be up 12. But anyway, let's put it back to where it was. So Wellington on the hour there. So we now know in Paris and Rome it's going to be 9:40. Yeah, because they're just an hour in front. If we wanted to know what it is in Wellington, New Zealand, well, it's going to be the same as us, but 12 hours before. So it's going to be 8:40 a.m. in the morning. If we want to know what time it is in New York, it's going to be 3:40. Let me just double check that. That's going to be 3:40 p.m. So yeah, just they're behind.
In New York, it's 3:40 p.m.
There you go. So you can see it is actually kind of useful. So there's going to be 24 countries around there. San Francisco is going to be 12:40 or 12:41. So what time is it in San Francisco?
In San Francisco, it's 12:40 p.m.
There you go. It's really clever. I think it's clever anyway. Well, it's not clever, but it's useful. I've never had a watch like this before. I quite like it. I mean, the design of the world timer. So that is it. But as far as the watch is concerned, I love it. I really, really do like it. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. It's a shame I couldn't actually fix this one, but you need specialist tools for that. If you're a watchmaker, you would be able to just buy the balance staff thing for £10 off eBay, and then you'd be able to fix it probably quite easily. But that really does take a a lot of skill, a skill that I haven't got. But still, we got there by just paying a bit extra. So it's been about 3 days since that last part of the video, and this thing has not left my wrist, and I am absolutely loving it. Look at the way the crystal bubbles up like that. How retro does that look? I am really, really enjoying it, and somehow the time is actually keeping okay. So we're still within the same minutes that it was at when I said it at the end of the last part of the video. Now that's not good timekeeping because it's only been 3 days, so it could be losing 19 or gaining 19 seconds a day. But what seems to happen is when I check it against the computer, it seems to be maybe 45 seconds in front by the end of the day. But then I wake up in the morning and it can be 10 or 15 seconds behind. And then I check it like later on that day and it might be 15 seconds in front. But it seems to cancel it out when I put it to bed at night because I don't wear it, I just put it on the bedside table. And that is an actual way of regulating like older watches. Depending on whether you have it like face up, crown down, this side down, can affect the running of the watch. Because think about it, that balance spring is going to be under different forces, however the position you put it in. So you can kind of get to regulate your watch just purely by how you lay it overnight. And it's no bother because you're not wearing it overnight anyway. You just put it down in a certain position and you might find then that you don't have to change the time so much. So we all know that this is not a good timekeeper. We can see that on the timer graph, but it's still a wearable watch because you can adjust it without having to take it apart by the position you have it in. So I'm really, really happy with it. So that is it. Take care everyone. I will hopefully see you very soon. Thanks for watching.